He's gonna.
I could do with like a whole like year without hearing about this guy. I do not give 3 fucks about him or his take on Bitcoin. Jim Cramer, Kevin O'Leary, and Jamie Dimon being like the talking heads for crypto is just like, I could do without all of that. Thank you very much. GA, GN, wherever you are in the world. So 12, a dozen, a whole carton of eggs coming at you today. Internet Explorers. How we doing, Josh?
I'm doing well. It was a chaotic, busy week. I think as we'll get into in this first topic, we've announced some things, and announcing those things drives a lot of attention.
We've announced that we were going to announce some things, which is
true.
Even better, I think.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. And of course, also we got Peace Note on stream, clicking the buttons. How we doing, Peace?
Hello. Doing well. How are y'all?
Oh, crisp audio today. I love that. I'm good. We had the snowstorm here in Vancouver, which just like ends the entire world for most people. And that's been fun to watch on Reddit, just the carnage happen. Not funny, obviously, people are actually getting hurt, but whatever. Numerous cars in the ditch on my road, which has been
watching it on Reddit. Reddit is how you get your...
The Vancouver feed and Reddit is the best place for Snowmageddon entertainment, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, we got a big week. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Seed Club today. We've got a bunch of news that hit the space around some L2s. I saw that you added DePIN as a topic, and I'm like, what do we have to say about DePIN?
Don't worry, I made it as weird. I made it as weird as I possibly could.
Okay, and then Peace is going to try to go get us rich on something with a hat today, I think. So.
Oh, look at that! That's only going up.
Right.
That's exactly.
He's on with the hat right now, of course.
Saul with. All right. Well, Peace is doing that. Let's kick it off. Yeah. So the big news, at least for us this week, was us announcing that applications are going to open. So announcing an announcement, which is the best types of announcements. But yeah, so our consumer crypto accelerator is coming soon. I think we're going to imminently open applications targeting probably early next week. So keep an eye out for that, but also don't let that stop you. I think we'll probably drop a more thoughtful post and a fresh site that Peace has been cooking up alongside it. But yeah, wanted to give everyone a heads up because we've been actively talking to founders all week. Deeply excited by the conversations we're already having. So if you're interested, please get at me. I think it's just as I was kind of thinking about this, just reflecting on the last, like us opening up the last cohort, and just like it's wild how much has changed since we kicked that one off. And just like really, I think like checking in on our conviction on just like the importance of consumer crypto, the ecosystem, and just like the internet more broadly. And I think we're just like more convicted and stoked than we've ever been. And
we get this sort of feedback loop that happens, right? Because you just go talk to you're like, hey, we're gonna go do this thing, and when we did SC06, we didn't know if it was gonna work. I mean, consumer feels like it's like a topic that has a lot of attention right now. Definitely didn't feel like that back in January of last year. But then you get into this loop where you start to people start to reach out, and you find people and you get to talk to, and then you start to see just the brilliance of these builders that are pushing at like really cool edges with such diverse backgrounds and experiences and ways that they've sort of come to be building what they're building. And it's cool to see sort of like the consistent piece around there, like the sense that that it still is very niche and not everybody is doing it, and they want to be around other people that are building at those sort of weird edges themselves. But then also you just see the talent that exists there. So I mean, I always say that I feel like literally the most privileged human being in the world, because I just get to go talk to cool people all day long. And Merna always gives me a hard time. She's like, how have you just talked for 8 hours today looking at my calendar? And I'm like, they're just like cool people, and that's energizing. So I have like absurd conviction in us bringing together like a really incredible batch. I mean, I think you've done a great job of getting out there and talking to people. I know your calendar has been an absolute mess this week as well, in the best possible way. But yeah, we're still looking to find other folks that are off, pushing at some unique edges. And I think what you'll see us come out with some content next week is just a bit more of a refined thesis on exactly type, I mean, I shouldn't say exactly, we still have a very broad sort of mandate here, but the types of things that we think are the most interesting and compelling, and that we're probably the best at bringing together. And I think for me, like the sort of overall narrative that I'm most excited about, mostly coming from a Seed Club perspective, but it sort of helps us to sort of think about what this next phase of crypto and the internet is going to look like, is just the power of the thing of being sort of in the transaction flow, and sort of machines that are being built in the broader ecosystem with protocol rewards, what Zora's doing, what Daylight's doing, seeing what's happening in a bunch of the more DeFi protocols doing similar things, this points narrative coming in, and seeing how value sort of flows, not only just from within the people themselves who are building these things within their own networks, but how it plugs into these evolving networks as well. So we're going to have a big transaction energy at Seed Club this year. It's a metric that we're going to really be driving towards as an organization, both through like the media we create and the ways that we show up. And I see a couple topics today that kind of get into that a bit, but then also in how we want to support teams and have some pretty exciting things to come there. And then, the idea of being part of driving transactions for these incredible builders that are doing some crazy, I mean, there are some crazy things that are coming through our inboxes right now, and in the most exciting type of way.
Yeah, I think it's 100%. Both like kind of two planes of what's exciting, right? Like just what the projects we're seeing, and I think also the stuff we're talking about, how we're just going to like level up our support of projects, is also just deeply exciting. So we like transactions. I think to piggyback off that, we've been talking about projects that have on-chain distribution, have on-chain business models, are like mimetic in some way, which is like kind of really captured in our like build something people want to be a part of meme, as kind of being like really great examples of like how we see consumer crypto going forward. So yeah, if you're building something kind of along those lines, if it's weird, novel, socially ambitious, we love it. We love all those things. So yeah, hit me up. Going to bring probably 10 to 15 teams together that are just like incredible examples of this to build alongside each other for 3 months, right? And I think it's just like hard to overstate the power of just being in community with other founders that are also insane enough to be building in consumer crypto right now, and just like how much I think faster you can learn when you're just directly exposed to like the successes, failures, insights of other teams. And
I love that as I talk to teams, and that's not even really a part of it wasn't even the top of mind thing that I was sort of putting forward, and it was what those teams were saying to us. Like, they just want to be a part of this type of thing. So easy sales pitch. Let's go. Come hang out. And also, I think a shout out, I've had a bunch of founders that applied to the last batch that have gone on their own journeys, seeing some bunch of evolutions to their products that are DMing me as well, and excited to reapply for this one, which, I mean, that is just incredible, and to be able to see the touch points and just sort of see what they've been doing over the last little while is really incredible as well. So if you've applied to a previous batch, we want to hear from you again if you're up to, if you've had some learnings since we last talked. So
yeah, absolutely. Love seeing that conviction, the relentlessness, the resourcefulness, all that stuff. All right, sick. Let's
pieces doing some technical analysis here, I think.
What's that telling us, Fees?
It's gone down by a lot.
Did you buy?
Okay.
So we bought, yeah.
Double down.
Okay.
So that means
that's right. It's time for some conviction plays, boys.
Alrighty.
We'll cut our losers.
Well, hold on, Peace. Remember, we did an offsite last week, and we talked about this very briefly. And I think wasn't sort of the TLDR like where we'd rather this go to a 5x or go to a 0 and nothing in between? Isn't that what we're trying to do here?
That's exactly right. Hey, we're not at 0 yet.
Exactly. That's the spirit.
Now we've just got a moon bag now. That's great.
Still got the tokens.
No point being partially right.
Exactly. Yeah, you only lose if you sell.
Really right or really wrong. Let's go.
That's it. All right, sick. Well, yeah, let's jump over to /Seed Club, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we now have a Seed Club Farcaster channel, which is exciting. But also just like, actually, Jess, maybe jump in. You're the one that we've been talking about it for a while, but you're the one that finally like pushed us to get it. Why?
Well, I mean, I think it comes from this deep conviction that being on chain enables new user behaviors, new opportunities, new business models. And I think like the biggest thing that we sort of took out of our offsite was this idea, like we were struggling to find what our North Star metric was because we were doing so many different things. And this idea of transactions, I think, is a very compelling one to me, at least for now. Reserve the right to change that, but at least for now. And so we sort of like came to that decision, and then we're looking through all of our touch points, everything that we're doing, and thinking like, okay, well, how do we do this in a way that actually is on chain and or results in transactions? And the two places we spend a lot of our time from our media, at least, are through our newsletter and through Twitter. And at the same time, there's these three really great tools on the other side here, which is Paragraph, great newsletter tool, which we're going to be migrating to very shortly. Once I just have to pay for some therapy, I think, for Cheryl because of the challenge she had in migrating our newsletter last time. Willing to do it. And what's happening in the Lens and the Farcaster ecosystem. Like there's just a ton of energy there. I think what's so super cool about this stuff right now is it's still incredibly small. Like daily active users, I don't know if you have that up here.
It's up, yeah.
Yeah, what are we at here right now?
It's like 6K. Oh, weekly, 6K weekly.
Yeah, 4 to 6K, right? So it's still very, very small, but to me, that's opportunity. We talked last week about why build in consumer crypto, because we're so early, and those of us that like to, there's just such opportunity in being early and active and part of the building the thing. And so it just is like the most obvious thing for us to go do from a brand and alignment perspective, and also from like just a pure tactical perspective. I think it's fun to sort of think about what channels does in Farcaster specifically, and so we've spun up a channel there. I think like I found some other channels that are really dope. Probably someone should build this channel. I think is super great. We talked, I think, last week about requests for startups from other VCs. Like that Farcaster channel is probably going to be way better than any of that content shortly, soon. Especially if we get in there. I think we should get in there. So yeah, I think it's just more of a spirit of experimentation, and also just seeing these, these networks like Lens, like Farcaster, really start to get some early traction. And I'd much rather be there at the beginning than. I just hate missing waves, man. Why would we do that? Our entire brand is built on being early to stuff. So it's frankly embarrassing that we haven't.
We don't miss waves
there already. Like
we don't miss waves,
bro. I'm not a good surfer, dude. I can't paddle hard enough.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
The only waves we miss are
real waves. I miss real waves regularly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I used to, I think thinking back to like 6 months ago, like just really like see and think of Farcaster as like a decentralized Twitter, like that's what it back then kind of felt like. I was like, it seems just this kind of place that very like ideological people are just going to go hang out, and it's going to mimic Twitter and like whatever. But I think, recently it's just become so clear that it's not that. And it's just like this completely new novel thing that has like maybe hit a tipping point. Like I think if you go and look at it, right, like it has its own distinct culture. It now has like a feature set that is like pretty distinct from Twitter. Like there's like countless products building on top of it or integrating with it, like Bounty Caster, Launchcaster, like fundamentally using it as their kind of base layer. And then you have Unlonely, you have Paragraph, you have Interface, like projects that are either using it for like authentication or like deeply integrating with it. So it feels like it's hit this like tipping point where it like has enough like real authentic kind of like high value community, and the tech and infrastructure is good enough that like people are seeing it as like the place to
I think that Paragraph integration is super cool to see, and it makes me think of whether we should even have a live chat here on the stream, or if it should be a just a Farcaster integration there, and what that might look like. So yeah, I think we want to be experimenting more in there too. It's not just to show up and post. I think we have something we're cooking up for hopefully the end of February that I think will deeply integrate there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's Eugene Wei's, a status as is it status as a service? That the idea, like you go in there, and it's funny. I think I was probably, in the low 100 number of users there, and then kind of check back in frequently, and then you jump in there and see, there's people with 40,000 followers right now, and you go, okay, like I am vain. I want to be popular. I'm going to come at you, Jacob. We can try to get you. I gotta just retweet my stuff, Jacob. I mean, I'll create better stuff, brother, and then you can retweet me or what? Recast me. Thank you.
You got to recast.
Re-X me over on Twitter. How does that even work anymore? It
I
doesn't.
don't know. There's a word for it that I'm just not going to say because it's embarrassing.
Pick for pick. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So yeah, I don't know. Come hang out. Post some stuff in the Seed Club channel. Say hi.
This is
For
good.
high value
This is you,
followers.
Jess.
High value followers, Jacob. We're here for the quality. I think Jacob shows up as like one of the most active Farcaster users, though. I think on that Dune dashboard. So
I feel like there was a point like 4 months ago where Jacob was just like, "I'm off Twitter. I'm on Farcaster. Here it is."
Nice.
Which
he's in the chat right now, so that's why I'm speaking directly to him.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. Nice.
Come
Moving on.
We got a channel. Follow us. Follow me. Josh is there. I want Josh is like criminally underfollowed on Twitter for the amount of value he provides to founders. I see that every single day. So you should probably just follow him on Farcaster.
I'm also gonna tweet more. I'm gonna cast more. I've set that. It's just like not. It's not like a natural. Like I don't think in tweets, so I have to like.
Nobody does, brother. You're mentally
ill. I think some
people
do.
Dude. Yeah, but they're messed up. They're messed up.
Yeah, but they're also
they
good
can't do all the other things.
Yeah. So, anyways, I tweeted like 4 times yesterday. Probably a record. I'm gonna keep doing it.
I got tweet notifications on for you, so I can confirm that. And bangers.
Some good ones in there, right? Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the. It's funny. I had these broken out as separate topics, but really they're like I think very additive as kind of a bundle. So the tale of 3 L2s doing things very differently, approaching things very differently, having very different levels of success. So wanted to start off with Public Goods Network. So Public Goods Network was I think it was Gitcoin incubated, or at least like Gitcoin incubated. Yeah. Okay. So it announced they were shutting down this week. So really like the initial insider goal for Public Goods Network was that sequencer fees, revenue generated by the chain would be reallocated to public goods. But ultimately they just weren't able to attract the attention that attracts the liquidity, that attracts the developers, that attracts the transactions to make it sustainable. And they actually posted a good post. It's very worth reading for anyone thinking about launching L2s or interested in L2s. That really kind of breaks that down. But I think like a few things really jump out there. Like it's just like pretty obvious to me, and I tweeted this, that launching an L2 without either like existing large amounts of aggregated transactions or a willingness to like play the speculative game is just doomed to fail today. Like there are so many options, and of course those are just like necessary preconditions and don't promise long-term success, but they're very necessary, right? And I think we've just been wanting to get smarter in L2s and talking to a bunch of like roll-ups as a service providers to really just better understand the economics of them. And I think what is it? You need like very roughly like 10,000 transactions a month or something.
Yeah, I think it's it's actually meaningfully more. I think I ended up speaking with a bunch of people who are in PGN just to get a bit more detail on it. And I think there's sort of like rollups as a service provider will tell you, I think within the Arbitrum ecosystem specifically is where that 10,000 transactions a month number came from. But I think it's important to note that there's like a lot of other investment that needs to go into building these things out. So, they get into it in this post talking about just the need to have liquidity so that large bridging amounts can be satisfied. There's a bunch of infrastructure required from things like Infura to block explorers, et cetera. There are also costs, and then of course you have the internal engineering costs and just being able to maintain and grow these things. So I think there's a lot of reason to expect those prices come down in the future, but I think your point stands regardless, right? Like your tweet, which had a wonderful reply guy jump in that I think was just like a truly bad take, but like shout out to them. I think you sort of referenced Zora, and like a Zora L2 doesn't make sense unless there's a ton of people minting and interacting on Zora already, which they had, and Zora consistently, if you look at all the sort of the graphs that's showing TVL and growth and stuff like that, it's just like a little baby graph there next to the insanity of like Arbitrum and Optimism, et cetera, and yet it's still a very meaningful amount of transactions and value flowing through it, et cetera. So having this app that has a lot of transactions natively in it, or a protocol that sort of drives a lot of transactions, makes a lot of sense that you could roll an L2. And I think a lot of interesting things come from that. And I think you also mentioned Base, and I think it's very clear in my mind that people see Base as like a pathway to as a valuable place to build because of the Coinbase effect, right? This idea of this integration with the wallet and very natural fit in. I mean, Coin as a public company, Base is the decentralized version of it. I mean, it's brilliantly branded, all that sort of stuff. So But I think that, there's just a ton of other early experiments that have a ton of value locked. I know you're going to get into a couple others, but I think your tweet is pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like hesitant to include Base because I knew someone was going to be like, Coinbase transactions aren't on Base. And I was going to actually just kind of bundle in attention. It's like you either need aggregated transactions or aggregated attention, but I don't think aggregated attention necessarily translates, directly into transactions. Because you could say that, Gitcoin has attention, but there wasn't a good reason to go transact on the Gitcoin.
I feel like something like PGN is a thing maybe to run at again in a year, 18 months, 2 years, right? Like there sort of needs to be a maturing of this sort of the ecosystems and the tool sets and maybe more open sourcing, or the prices come down right now in these sort of things. And so I think like the root of it's a fascinating idea and very aspirational. Just maybe a little too early. I think we're.
But then you also have like Optimism giving out 120 million to public goods. So it's like you're like competing.
You don't own that meme anymore.
Or something. You don't own the meme. Yeah, I think like you need to start within like this like branded context, this subculture, and I think public goods like within that makes a ton of sense. Public goods generally is, I don't know, maybe less interesting to people.
I mean, the mimetic piece is super interesting because, Optimism has done more volume in their public goods funding than I think has come through Gitcoin in the last.
Right.
I mean, I would be willing to bet that's a very long period. So, welcome to crypto. The landscape changes underneath us very, very quickly. Screw 5-year plans, screw 1-year plans. Let's get to the 1-month plans. And shout out to everybody at PGN who's leaning into this. I think it's a great idea. And
we can experiment
with each other stuff. Yeah.
Nice. So want to kind of like jump this into Blast. So Kobe dropped a little. Kobe had to. So Kobe dropped a little Blast rant that I think just like perfectly kind of encapsulates like the other side of this. And
you actually read this? Because I saw this and I was like, there's no way I'm reading that.
I did.
Oh, it's so good. It's worth
great.
Reading. I wish.
Okay.
I'm bummed that I can't make it larger on this screen, but
it's right. I'll give it a
maybe.
Yeah, people find it. I'm sure you could just like maybe Cheryl.
Let's drop it in the chat.
Drop in the chat. Basically, what he talks about is just how with L2s becoming increasingly commodified, especially with like chain abstraction tools getting better and everyone just being financially motivated. Like ultimately, people are just going to park their money wherever they think they can earn the most, right? So it's no surprise at all, really, that like with the success of Blur, the native yield narrative, the point system, like there's just like so many points for like this being a valuable place to park your money that it attracted more TVL than Base. Obviously, with all the very warranted FUD. So I think like just this in contrast to what happened with PGN, it's like you can be very ideological and toil away in obscurity, or you can kind of just like do what you need to do to attract attention. And we've been talking a lot recently about how like you can't just go and find your perfect users. You have to go and attract like this big kind of massive attention, knowing that a bunch of it will be low value, but within that there's also going to be a bunch that are like very well aligned with what you're building, and figuring out how to pull those people in and give those people pathways to be engaged and stick around is ultimately the game.
I love the biggest burn here is I think sometimes the CT armchair commentators have become a little like Bitcoin maxis from 2017, preaching about Bitcoin while privately buying every ICO and shitcoin under the sun. So I think that actually perfectly encapsulates a lot of the discourse I see around speculation and a lot of these sort of the current state of crypto. And I think maybe it's fair to say well intentioned in many ways. Like I think there's sort of like a sense of this working for now, but maybe not working forever. And at what point do we actually sort of does the rubber hit the road, and there need to be sustainability here? But it's not just Base like or Blast. There's I know the DGen channel is filled with a bunch of other sort of very similar copycat versions of this that have attracted a ton of attention. They all have some other gamification on top of it. So it's not just, it's like, don't just give me yield. I want points. I want points too. Let me see that number go up. And we can, I think we just need to be comfortable with jumping in and really trying to get a sense of like how we can use these metas to go after the goals that we're trying to drive as entrepreneurs or participants in this ecosystem, rather than just being like put off by it, even if deep down in your soul you're put off by it.
Yeah, totally. I think people get caught up, when we talk about speculation, thinking we're like talking about it as actually you casted it, didn't you? talk about it.
Yeah, I did. I steal it. I didn't see you put it out, so I stole it.
So fast too. It's like a minute after.
I waited 6 hours. 6 hours, bro.
But yeah, it's like people. Speculation is not the end game, right? It's the tool to get to the place that you want to get, and people get caught up whenever we talk about speculation and how pro, speculation in the right way we are. We're not talking about that being like the only thing to do.
Agreed.
Cool. So yeah, we have the public goods network story, and now we have like the Blast, just like TVL gamification story, and then we just have this very professional organization.
The adults in the room.
The adults in the room who dropped their 2024 mission. I think it was maybe late last week. Just read it this week, and it's just like ambitious as hell. I think like the entire thing is worth reading, but just to pull out like a few of their kind of big goals. So they want to bring 10 plus Coinbase built products on chain. Huge. They want to drive down fees to less than a cent on the backs of EIP, 4844, and they're doing a ton of just like core, contribution to that stuff. And then, they want to, really expand and build world-class on and off ramps for many markets, so people can just, onboard, offboard seamlessly onto Base. And just, Coinbase obviously has this just huge aggregated attention and user base of, I think largely obviously crypto curious, or people who are down with crypto, but I think probably safe to say that a ton of them just actually haven't onboarded like on chain yet. So I think the impact of these actually happening and 10 plus like Coinbase products being built on chain and Base and easy on and off ramps onto Base that from this like trusted brand could be pretty impactful for just like the number of people engaging on chain. And once you're on and you have easy paths to go do more stuff, I think that's the way people come in. So anyways, yeah, they're pros. We're lucky to have them. Just like a hilarious contrast to the other two.
I just hate trading on what Coinbase core product is just so frustrating to me. So, but I love the on-chain. Just give me the on-chain stuff. And I think people will go through that journey themselves soon. When I'm playing golf with the old guys, they keep snickering that I work in crypto. It's kind of funny just to see their responses. But then I hear that they bought the ETH and Bitcoin top, so I kind of get it. Yeah. We'll get them next time. I think can pull them a bit deeper in next time. Yeah, I mean, I think the we talked to Jesse about sort of like how long this project has been in some sort of form of incubation. That's the question of like, how do you bring more of Coinbase on chain? It goes way, way, way back. So I continue to just believe that Jesse is just probably going to be one of the most valuable human beings to Coinbase generally. If you're a stockholder, just like this guy, I don't know who else would go do this sort of thing. Obviously, there's a lot of other people involved in that, but he's the one I get to talk to most often. And then, yeah, it's I love succession. You are not serious people, I think, is a thing that can be cast at many, many builders or networks in the space. And that's, I don't think the case here with Base. So I don't know where to go build still a lot of questions on where you should go deploy and build your stuff. It still gets harder and harder, not easier and easier. But I think a lot of people, especially David Hurley, who's a big Base stan on the C Club team.
He's a resident Base stan, yeah. It's
because they give him, I think they pay for that attention. I continue to say that with their retro rewards every once in a while, but it sounds like he's also quite earnest in the support. So
yeah, I also just like this, we've been kind of butting our heads together, trying to just figure out the right way to like talk about what we're building, what our kind of, mission kind of 2024 plan is, and just seeing them, I don't know, reading one that's just like so well articulated and clear and understandable is like that.
World building.
All right. Cool. Oh yeah. I'm doing the things today. Or Peace, are you doing it? No. 4.
I've been clicking them, but
he's been clicking. He's a professional clicker.
Yeah.
Wait, are you in Fart right now? How's Fart doing?
I just entered a position on Fart, so I'm trying to ride this one up big time.
Great entry point.
Yeah. Let's see how we do.
As we're talking about,
let's talk about something
looks
serious.
Like buy volume's picking up. Yeah, I know. I know, it's crazy.
Also, just to briefly say, like, pieces trading meme coins, I think the number of builders I've talked to that are like building really, really interesting things on the learnings of meme coins, and meme coins is kind of a primitive, is exciting as hell. I just can't fucking wait.
It's such a good clip that was shared on our Twitter account of you just saying I'm dreaming meme coins, and people being like, "Yo, bro, you need help."
I wish it was a joke. All right. Cool. Yeah. So let's move on to DePIN. So it's funny. So I think Dymo, they're like a car analytics product and service provider marketplace. There's a token integrated somewhere into it. Anyways, like kind of core DePIN product. They announced an $11.5 million Series A this week, and just like reminded me that we just haven't talked about DePIN at all. And I don't know where the definition of DePIN even starts or ends, but I think there are. I was kind of like looking through. There's a site that just shows like all the DePIN projects, and I was looking through, and largely they're pretty boring and uninteresting to me, but I think there were a few pretty interesting like consumer focused projects that I think are just like worth shining a light on. Because
DePIN is decentralized physical infrastructure
network. Yeah. So a lot of it is like, it would look kind of like B2B stuff, right? It's like, hotspot providers for like Internet of Things, like developers, whatever, like stuff like that, right? Managing like some satellite network or something. But they're also just like kind of consumer marketplaces, which I think is a pretty interesting application of this. So I think like the two reasons that I just wanted to bring this up. One, I think just seeing or thinking about how powerful of like an onboarding tool some of this stuff can be into crypto, because it's like so many of these are things that just very like naturally and easily fit into people's lives or things they're already doing, can passively earn them crypto. And then just like having money in a wallet that you need to figure out what to do with is just like an incredible incentive. And I think, like early airdrops were just so important for getting so many of us into this space. So if we can just do that en masse with this like very easy to, understand useful thing, I think it's just, going to be a good way to get a bunch of people in. So I think that's one. And then I think second, just kind of actually building off what we were just talking about with Farcaster, I think the like second and third order effects of like marketplaces being disintermediated by open protocols could just get really interesting. So the two that I wanted to call out, first is Teleport. So Teleport's building a rideshare protocol, and the first product that's actually using it. So the decentralized Uber meme. So obviously like Uber takes massive take rates, I think up to 40%, and like truthfully like haven't really done anything to improve the service in years. Like
improve their profitability though.
They've improved their profitability, that's for sure. Spent a ton on marketing, that's for sure. But ultimately it's just like commoditized product that's like pretty well understood. So it feels like maybe a good place to really start exploring how these like decentralized networks could compete with Web 2 marketplace behemoths.
I mean, we were talking earlier this week about like what like trad brand would we love to see launch a meme token, and Costco was like the one that popped up quite a bit, and just because like, well, for a number of reasons, the brand that people have a lot of affinity for, and also a membership, et cetera. But this idea of like airdrops or tokens as a way of breaking into new network effects, I think is the thing that everybody in crypto talks about all the time, and yet we haven't seen that hit as big as I think as most people would have expected. I think there definitely is a meme around a decentralized Uber or decentralized X, and I think a lot of folks write that off, probably rightfully so in the short term, because I think network effect based businesses are incredibly hard to get off the ground, and that's definitely the case with Uber. You think about the amount of work that went into building that density and how hard Lyft has struggled compared to Uber having that density. But this, if the Solana phone and Bonk as a prime example, this idea of there being a meme token or another token that can really incentivize that early usage, I think is really interesting. I think that what we've seen from, I can't remember the one that was doing more of like, I guess there's a few trying to do more local area network, Wi-Fi based ones.
Yeah,
Helium. There's a couple others as well. I think they really sort of struggle with the hype and then the crash, and then sort of maintaining interest beyond it. So getting that distribution and that mechanism right, I think is still a thing that is pretty challenging and maybe not quite solved for yet. But I think you're very right. Like these are consumer products, and it would be a pretty big miss not to have them on a radar, especially as they start to pick up steam.
Yeah, and I think with
stablecoin right there on screen.
Well, I was actually just thinking like there should be like a Kirkland or like Costco meme coin, or maybe there already is.
Link it up.
Hot dog, ticker hot dog, first dog to $1. It's perfect.
Someone do this, airdrop us tokens. So I think like when I started thinking more about Teleport, obviously, you need to get to kind of this like base useful network first that can actually, compete with Uber. But if it does, right, like you can if there's just protocol that, you know, is matching drivers and riders that you can just plug into, like, you know, airports could offer their own rideshare services and like actually be incentivized to like make them easy to use, or, you know, you could easily build some like rideshare speed dating product, or like McDonald's could run their own fucking service that just comes with Big Macs, or like you know, there's just like this endless list of like weird shit you can just do if you can just like easily plug into this like existing rideshare network.
So, you know, the thing that got me into crypto was discovering a YouTube video that was talking about autonomous cars and the sort of open transportation protocol, and that DAOs are the right way to sort of manage it. And that's the first way I was introduced to DAOs in 2016, right before the DAO launched. And I bought my first Ethereum so I could try to get into the DAO, but then I was like technically inept enough to not actually figure out how to go do it. So I didn't lose my money in it. And then it
probably saved so many people.
Bro, it like doubled like the week afterward, or I guess, I don't know, whenever it went up quite a bit. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. And then I forgot about it. But yeah, I think there's, that's funny to think of all the way back when, 2016. Wow.
Long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
So yeah, I don't know. That's one interesting example. I think the other one I just wanted to shed a light on was Hive Mapper, which is basically crowdsourced mapping and imagery. You know, really to ultimately like compete with Google Maps and Street View. So you put this device in your car, you earn tokens as you drive, and they have these cool features like, you know, they like boost incentives on places they haven't mapped yet, or someone can pay to like boost an area that they want to be better mapped, and you know that incentivizes people to go and drive there. And I mean, the numbers are actually pretty impressive. Like they've mapped 10% of the world already, with like 25,000 contributors, which seems like a big area to me. And apparently they're able to offer data at a fraction of the cost of Google, just like based on the economics of it.
Oh,
so
cool.
You know, I think that's cool. Again, like the second, third order effects is like, you know, you could build games on top of the protocol at like the map, like you could do like a card-based scavenger hunt that like earns you Hive Mapper tokens and probably game tokens. You know, you could do something much more granular at like the street level with like Pokemon Go if you wanted like really fine grain like mapping of stores or sidewalks or whatever. And then I think it's just obvious that products like Waze should be user owned, and it like incentivizing, you know, adding data, which is like what powers the whole thing, can like earn you tokens and just like improve the service dramatically. So I think there's the logic's there. Obviously getting there is the hard part, but
yeah, we just love giving our data away for free for better user experience right now. So can we get over that hump of actually making that useful? I mean, I wonder how much money Apple has invested in making maps the way it is today. It's, you know,
is it better? I just like, it was so bad a couple of years ago.
Well, see, that's a great example, right? It was so bad. It is a phenomenal app right now. 100%.
I believe it.
Yeah.
He's converted. I love to hear it.
Well, I don't still
use it. You're a big Apple Map guy, right?
All the way. Yeah, oh, you don't use it.
I mean, I do. I use it when I have my Apple Watch on, because it shows me, like when I'm driving the truck, and it tells me the directions right there. I like it. So I use it then, but I still, maps, when I type maps into my search bar, it goes to Google right now. Just like a big barrier to get over.
Yeah. All right. Let's let me click my button. Boom. Okay, let's move on to crypto's three body problem. So
other internet's back, baby.
Let's go. We love
bull market incoming.
Love when I see other internet post dropped. Very often I have to wait to be in the right mental state, because you know you can't just like skim that on your phone while you're like walking down the street. But yeah, basically, yeah. So here they wrote about crypto's three body problem, and really like they leaned on, I guess, Lawrence Lessig, who I hadn't heard about before, but
cool dude.
He cool dude apparently wrote a bunch about how the like four forces of law, markets, social norms, and environment collectively govern our lives. And then, kind of also discuss how law critically acts through norms and markets and environment to, maintain this like reversion to normalcy as needed. So I think an example they used in the article was, if the domestic purchasing of a commodity becomes desired for whatever reason, they can institute high taxes on imports and kind of like regulate through markets. So in crypto, we obviously don't have that, right? There's no unifying arbiter to like maintain this normalcy or act on like collective social desires. So I think their point here is that, norms, markets, and code often end up in conflict. And, they've showed how this just has spawned like new and surprising institutional behavior. So they use the example of, Curve protocol design allowed for bribery to emerge. And, even though often like legally not allowed and also typically frowned upon socially, because the protocol allowed it to happen, like the institutional norms around Curve basically reoriented around them, and it just became this accepted part of the ecosystem.
A whole other protocol came out from it.
Right. Convex came out just entirely around that. And then also used NFT royalties for another example where, what was possible in code and what the market ultimately decided was in like conflict with what was probably socially desirable, which is, to kick back some percentage to artists. So, they call this I think they also use an ENS example where I forget the guy's name, but, kind of got canceled. They wanted to kick him out. He voted against getting kicked out and had a ton of tokens, so didn't get kicked out. So they call this regression to the code, and basically outline this article. They think it's a very like harmful and undesirable way for institutions to be regulated because normative behavior is unenforceable. So, I
mean, I think it's so much of this is sort of. I mean, I guess that my question is how much of this is inherent to the fact that we're, this sort of narrative of like code is law, which I think they do a great job of outlining like the challenges around that. But then also how much of this is that we're just playing in the space with that is such a gray area to define it, most optimistically, like the idea of how do we represent ownership in networks and like blockchains and tokens being new tools that allow for representing ownership and thus governance and et cetera in networks being sort of core, and yet at the same time not being able to do that from as directly and as clearly, and even with the benefits of the legal system supporting that is probably the biggest drag on innovation in our system today. And so I think I guess my question really is like how much of this is inherent to the fact that we're trying to do this on blockchains, and I think they do make a good argument that is probably more the case, but then how much of this is just because we have not been able to actually step in with these other regulating factors that I think people ultimately want. I mean, then I understand like the libertarian angle and the code is law angle, and I think it's a worthwhile thing to push at. And also like the reality is there's a great line in here that gets at something around the idea of like why people feel this. They feel that crypto is so scammy because there is no set of norms that people sort of ultimately rest on, and that when those norms are sort of defined, they are easily and often sort of removed or relegated as not important because the protocol is specifically enabling a specific thing. And so, yeah, I mean, I just continue to wish for our ability to be much more direct and confident and safe and secure and not getting our Twitter account hacked like Gary does. And I think the US legal regime is still like the biggest barrier to that today.
Yeah.
But also people are dumb, man. Like if you bought Hex because somebody mailed you something into your mailbox, and I mean, we're just going to be driven by pure speculative desires here. So I don't know where I land on it.
I mean, I think I agree with everything you said. I also just like feel like that it's way too early to conclude that DAOs have failed, which like they felt like they just concluded in that article. And like I don't know, I refuse to believe that we can't effectively design digital native organizations that can enforce normative behaviors if that's actually something that we want, right? We're like 5 years into actually trying to do this stuff. So I think like some governance tweaks could have prevented the ENS thing from happening. If you don't like bribery on Curve or Convex, like you can go somewhere else, right? And if artists really want royalties, they can use tools that like promote their use within their community. So I think we're just early as hell, man. I think like they specifically call that out in the article.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Early, but fuck it, like we are early. So, anyways, like definitely like don't want my like physical social well-being in the hands of crypto protocols, and we'll probably always be down for the law at that level, but I also just want to maintain the increase in optionality and agency that crypto provides, and how I spend my time, invest my money, connect with others, because it's not important.
I feel like I haven't read this whole thing. I mean, it's really great, but I am so rigid minded. I'm like, it just sounds like we need more code, frankly.
I think that's a naive take.
I think that's probably true. I think that's probably true, but it just seems like even social norms, or like all these criticisms, I think are just so equally applied to the code of law and how that's even carried out through our judicial system. Like I would say that there's a more democratic opportunity for more code and software than there is through whatever the legal frameworks we currently have, in my naive opinion.
Well, I think I agree with you. There's still a ton of room to run with code, and I think like the big opportunity is, everywhere where there is just like bureaucracy and unnecessary human interaction in our legal system is clearly going to be attacked by AI, and blockchains probably have a play there as well. But also, I think if you push that to its extreme, it starts to get pretty dystopic pretty quickly. And so I think I deeply appreciate the public discourse around the challenges here. I think, if we look over the last 20 years, we are suffering today from, both in crypto and technology more broadly, like an overly optimistic, maybe I wouldn't say overly optimistic. I think it's optimistic without the same volume of criticism around how these things can kind of go wrong. And I think it's just a really important conversation to have. But yeah, I agree with you. More room to run for code, and with you as well, Josh, that we're still early. We're still so early. and people, sure, you make fun of that all you want, but like, I think we can prove that pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I do think this idea of regression to code is such an important
100%. Yeah.
Such an important thing to shout out, though. It's a cool title. Inspiring bunch, these people.
Yeah, I think you just need, there are lots of examples of people building, DAOs that don't just have like a entirely governing protocol in the middle, right? So I think it's just like put the protocol, like put the trustware in the right place and put the socialware in the right place and figure out how to compose that for like your goals.
We haven't been able to run like thousands of economic experiments at scale until very recently, and so it gives me a ton of optimism about the future.
Yeah, but also like just deep respect for the thoughtfulness. Like they've probably worked on this for years, a year.
I mean,
I think Toby, his like life after lifestyle, he's like, I've been writing this for 2 years. I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
Because I can't do that. Also, lightning round.
Also, let's do it.
All right, this was the Costco.
Oh yeah, that's where it came from. Nice.
I saw this and I went to Jess. I was like, we got to bring the Costco token to market. But also, we don't. Yeah, of course.
Could you imagine? That would be so. I mean, incredible to do. And can you imagine the type of human being you'd need to be to go get that done? That's like.
There's probably like a perfect big organization for this that is down.
What is the big organ? I mean, I felt like the way to go do something like this would be to like. I mean, it's kind of what that goof Ty Lopez.
Wendy's. I feel like maybe Wendy's would do it based on their like social media activity.
Oh, interesting. I feel like there's probably a brand out there that's actually deeply loved, but actually not a great business right now. I mean, this is kind of what GameStop tried to do-ish, right? In a vague-ish sort of way. They just did it very wrong, I think, or the wrong part of the cycle. Would have been a different thing if they came out at the beginning, maybe. I don't know. But like, what's the Radio Shack, I think, was going to do a token. Somebody rolled up a bunch of those like brands, Radio Shack and Linens Plus or something. I don't know what it was, but
GameStop built a market, like an NFT marketplace, right?
Yeah,
so
and they just shut it down.
They just launched a meme token.
Yeah, like Donald Trump.
How is Trump's?
No, is this like, true? This is amazing.
Apparently, like, how is this? Honestly, whoever's managing his like crypto team or running his like crypto strategy is pretty on it.
I want to know who got the piece of wasn't like one of his last NFT projects one that you got a piece of his like January 6th suit or something like that.
Holy fuck. Yeah.
Like what is going on?
It was so hilarious because God, what is the site? Here we go. Collect Trump cards. It's so good. What do they say? This right here, they like just the way this is marked, and where do they say? Oh yeah, here we go. Value, priceless.
Bonus offer too. Like, are you kidding me? Look at that button.
Yeah. Man,
the number of times we tried to get Peace to do a button like that, and he just refuses.
Peace will not do well, maybe now with this inspiration.
I would do a button like that.
We just got to go so extra, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because like Trump's like I got on his mailing list just because like it's actually a masterclass on how to go for like the middle America, get people to give you money type of thing. And it really reminds me of like email marketing. Like truly, it's like the game plan that was run probably with a hell of a lot more data back in like the the early mid 2000s type of thing, right? Where it was, you're doing a product launch, you get emails, and clearly people do that again today. But just the boldness with which he was doing it, with these bonus offers, etc. And like, it pains me to say it, but there's like, this sort of like onboarding billions of people to crypto is like probably best done with stuff, not best done, but like most effectively done with this sort of stuff right now. Like
only done.
I mean, it's done through like this, like, really a ton of data, aiming for like optimizing for conversions and making like these bold, absurd statements. Not the world I want to be part of. I don't want to be part of any of it like that, but clearly very effective at raising money, and there's got to be some insights in there.
Holy shit. Wait, so what is going on with this? So it's not even owned, managed, or controlled by Donald Trump, the Trump organization, or any respective principals or affiliates. They're using his name, likeness, and image under a paid license. So he's just selling his likeness, which is,
well, I mean, that's just
wild.
The dude probably has like 5 million numbered companies all over the place, so it makes a ton of sense.
Right.
It's probably license it to a company he owns or something. I don't know.
Right.
Slash just got paid for it, and that's all he really cares.
Sure. Yeah. Get the suit. All right, let's get off this page. It's making me.
I know. I'm so sorry. It is like fascinating how skinny he is there. He looks amazing.
And tall.
And so tall. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this was nice. This was really nice. I don't think we're gonna get audio here, but let's see.
I mean, it's important.
Audio's coming through.
No, audio's not coming through. But I do like. What did he call him? Satoshi.
Satoshi.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. I could do with like a whole like year without hearing about this guy. I do not give 3 fucks about him or his take on Bitcoin. Jim Cramer, Kevin O'Leary, and Jamie Dimon being like the talking heads for crypto is just like, I could do without all of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, we got Craig. Craig's back, right?
Craig's back.
Hello world, 20 hours ago.
Oh my god.
Community notes are undefeated.
Yeah.
The person who lied under oath and lies about being Satoshi. This is obviously, I'm just reading off the censors. Craig, don't sue me. I'm just reading off of this text here. Incredible. Oh man, those are like the dramas just got more niche. Back in the day when it was. I love it.
All right, Peace. What else? What time are we at here? 3 minutes.
People.
I just love.
That's what. Yeah.
I just love me. Yeah. So they're the founder of Jupiter, and just like a great Twitter personality / great builder. They've actually been. It's worth just check. Like they've been building in public ahead of their like token drop end of this month, and it's just like pretty impressive how they just like rally community. I think they had like 20,000 people test their like new launch pad with like a like mock Jupe token that like pumped to like a 20 mil valuation or something. But anyways, great build in public, great kind of like center for like the Jupiter world. But I also just like this take.
I mean, I believe in this. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Like that's just like the clear thing. Just the path to it is, I don't believe through real world assets. It's probably through memes and communities and interesting new infrastructure.
Yeah.
Cats.
Be the cash flow you wish to create.
Be the liquidity you wish to create.
That's right.
Must be nice to be a cat on the internet.
I think I default trust cats more on the internet than dogs, but dogs more in real life than cats.
Agreed.
It's an important insight.
I like that take. This was just crazy. Like respect for how quickly they brought, number 2 to market, like just the hype with the Solana phone and, the attention it had. It was a great time to just go and get a bunch of pre-sales, but crazy that 30K pre-sales in like, did it say 30 hours for their second phone? DePIN, baby. Is this Solana fin?
So now we'll see what comes first, Ledger Stacks or the second Solana wallet.
I have my money on this Solana wallet, man. I have my wallet on the second Solana wallet.
Yeah.
I saw the ETH phone collab with Nouns started shipping last week as well.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, clearly Solana Mobile's like dominating the conversation. I don't know, really hear a lot of people talking about the ETH phone, but here you go. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has one of those things, but we'd love to touch one.
Yeah.
We should get one.
It needs to come with meme coins, or it's just not going to be as interesting as the other one. So,
I mean, even if it's a hardware wallet, it's a wallet, right? Or is it just
it's embedded?
sure,
It's deeply integrated. No, I think it's deeply
Nice.
integrating the like a kind of a new operating system. I don't know.
It's like wallet with like calling abilities,
internet browsing abilities,
and internet browsing abilities.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, we're back. It's
Great.
amazing.
I had this right. This is it. I just dumped stuff throughout the week, and I guess I got intrigued twice.
Well, I mean, it's a good way to end. We're right at the top of the hour here, so
right, let's shut it down. Enough Trump.
I mean, so every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, we got some just absolute goats who continue to show up every single time. The chat has been mad active today. Love to see it. As always, this episode is collectible on pods.media. You can see the link in the chat there. We got the leaderboard rocking. David Hurley continues to be the number one winner.
He just hard coded that. Can't trust him.
That's true. The devs have done something there. Going to bring a lot more stuff on chain, and people should be minting these things. I'm not going to tell you why, but you should be. We got stuff. We might do. They're just mint stuff. Do stuff on chain. That's the TLDR.
Also, next week we're gonna have 2 guests, both announcing some pretty fun stuff. So,
Alpha on the episode. Come hang out with us on Farcaster. Channels open.
Oh, let's go.
You got other stuff you want to come in and have show up on Internet Explorers. Maybe we need an Internet Explorers channel. Josh, I know you're talking about that a little bit. So
yeah,
we're gonna be messing around over there. Love for you to join us. And yeah, keep an eye out for applications opening. The best way you can support us in this big vision that we're building towards is to tell your cool builder friends who are building interesting things to reach out to Josh or to apply when we open up applications. We want to hear from you. Really, really stoked about the batch we're bringing together. So thank you for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.